Live from Arkansas's breaking news leader, Fox 16 News at 9 starts now.
Guilty and now convicted murderer Arron Lewis will spend the rest of his life behind bars.
It is comforting to know that he is in a place now where he can't do any harm to precious people like my mom.
Beverly Carter's friends and family say she can finally rest in peace.
Arron Lewis has just been found guilty.
Fox 16 has covered the case from the beginning. Tonight, we break down the jury's decision and talk to both sides of the case. Our continuing coverage begins right now. And good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Kevin Kelly.
I'm Donna Terrell. The jury deliberating only about an hour this afternoon. Fox 16's Drew Petrimo has been there all week covering this case.
He begins our continuing coverage tonight from the Pulaski County Courthouse.
Well, it took jurors only about 1 hour to come back with their verdict. Guilty for capital murder, guilty for kidnapping. Arron Lewis will spend the rest of his life behind bars. Moments after those verdicts came down, he was taken away to jail. Earlier in the day, he actually took the stand in his own defense, telling his story about what happened, that he met Beverly Carter and for some sort of a sexual encounter, but prosecutors getting a chance to hammer home on cross-examination the inconsistencies in his story. Obviously a very emotional day for family members, and after the verdict came down, we were able to catch up with Beverly Carter's son, Carl Jr. Take a listen to what he had to say.
We're lifted in the fact that justice was served.
We've been wearing these chains for 16 months and they just fell off. And I think that my mom's at better peace now, if that makes any sense. It's just, there's so much said about her, lies, and now, you know, we can just continue to spread her wonderful legacy and make it known that she's just a wonderful person.
So obviously a very emotional time for the family member when that verdict came down. Also emotional for the attorneys. I want to bring in reporter Marcy Manley, able to speak with both prosecutors and defense attorneys. Tell me about what you took away from both those interviews.
You know, inside the courtroom, it's all technical. It's very business oriented. You have a jury to convince. Once they walked out, though, they had that verdict. They knew what the decision was. And for prosecutors, it was almost a sense of relief. They are there to represent Beverly Carter, who is the victim in this case. She couldn't represent herself, and they spoke of justice for her and her family, because the family is the one that they had to be close to. The family is the one that they had to coordinate with. So it was emotional. On the flip side of that, Bill James, as the defense attorney, got brought in rather late, and so he kind of dealt with the hand he was dealt in this case. He put up a good defense. He said he felt like it was a fair defense and that they touched on all the points that they needed to, but ultimately he lost. I mean, when you come down with a guilty verdict, and that's never easy for a defense attorney, but maybe it's easier for them to say it in their own words.
I feel like we had a fair trial. I mean, he got his defenses put out there. I think we got just about everything out we could, and did the best we could to get it. And the jury rejected his story. So there we are. I mean, that's the way the system works.
But do you think the jury got the right verdict?
Well, I mean, that's, you know, that they heard the evidence, and I mean, I respect it. There was certainly enough there for them to find him guilty. So I mean, I don't question it, and we respect it.
You can never punish someone harshly enough. Death penalty, life in prison without parole, never evens the score. For Beverly or for any of the other victims that unfortunately we have to advocate for.
I want to bring in our legal analyst, Chanley Painter. She was in there in the courtroom with me the entire time listening to testimony. Obviously, we just heard from attorneys there. It's a difficult time for the defense attorneys. Obviously, did not get the verdict that they wanted. What would you say, in your estimation, went wrong for the defense in this case?
Well, they didn't find the defendant's story credible. This jury was able to personally see Arron Lewis explain his version of events today in court, and the prosecution on cross-examination tripped him up a couple of times and made him look defensive and argumentative, and that didn't help his case.
So the jury only deliberating for about an hour. What do you make of the speed of the decision? What does that say about what went on in that deliberation room and what jurors thought about the evidence?
It means that it didn't take them long to deliberate or come to a consensus. They probably left the courtroom this afternoon with guilty in every one of their minds, and so it didn't take them long to come back and say, We all agree, Judge.
Yeah, and that had to be something that was unanimous, unanimous for capital murder, unanimous for kidnapping. Question now, what's next? We already are hearing that some of the defense attorney motions kind of laid the foundation for an appeal. Is that something that you envision coming, and how will that play out?
Absolutely. Arron Lewis has to file certain documents within 30 days of the filing of the conviction of this guilty plea today, and he will likely do that. Bill James indicated that he would. And this matter could be held up in the courts for many years from now. 10, 20 years from now, he'll probably be appealing what happened today.
You got anything to say, Arron?
You just had a really bad day, didn't you?
And that video you saw right there, Arron Lewis being taken from the courthouse to the jail. Reporter Josh Berry joins us now. You were out there as he was taken away. What's the atmosphere like out there?
And you could hear it, the people even chiming in that weren't involved or weren't in the media. There was a large presence of people out there wanting to get what could possibly be a final look at Arron Lewis as he's being loaded off to jail. We did get a chance to try and ask him a question if he had anything to say, and he remained silent the only time. The only thing that he did do, Drew, and what a lot of us noticed out there, was he gave a peace sign as the door was closing in that patrol car. But again, safety was a concern for the sheriff's office out there. That's why for the first time in this trial, they actually pushed everybody back, because everybody was trying to get a final look at Arron Lewis.
Arron Lewis being taken away, closure for the family, and really that wraps up our coverage from this Arron Lewis murder trial. For Josh Berry and Marcy Manley, Chanley Painter, I'm Drew Petromo at the Pulaski County Courthouse, and we'll send it back to you guys in the studio.
All right, great job, Drew. Thank you very much. Here's the Fox 16 bottom line on this story. Investigators say Beverly Carter disappeared on September 25th, 2014 while showing a home in Scott, Arkansas. The news sparked several days of searches all across Pulaski County. 3 days later, a warrant was issued for Arron Lewis's arrest. His wife, Crystal Lowry, also charged with capital murder and kidnapping, but negotiated a lesser sentence if she testified against Lewis.
And of course, we've spent the last 4 days talking about this trial. So now we just want to take a moment just to look back at Beverly Carter's life. She left behind 2 children, 5 grandchildren, and as many people have described, countless friends.
Yeah, she was a real estate agent working at Cry-Like Realtors in North Little Rock. Family members say her favorite color was pink. And as you've seen throughout the trial, including today, family members have worn pink items of clothing, all in her memory.
They certainly have. And Carter was also an avid runner in the Little Rock community, running her first marathon with her son, Carl Jr. They tell us she enjoyed spending time with those she loved most, her friends and family. And speaking of which, her daughter-in-law said today, their mission is to never remember Arron Lewis, but always remember Beverly Carter.